Alright, hey guys, and welcome back. Today we'll be doing a review of this film known as Brightburn. It's a 2019 film. Just watched it a few hours ago. So, first off, this is clearly a Superman parody slash horror film. So you will see a lot of resemblance of this to Man of Steel. And if you're a horror movie fan, um, well, then maybe you will like this. If you're a superhero fan, maybe you will like this. But other than those two, there isn't much else to this film. So I will go ahead and give you my points. So just be prepared. This is a spoiler review, so spoiler alert. If you haven't watched it, then I suggest you take a step back now. But if you're gonna leave as well, let me just give you the advice saying that you don't really need to watch this film. If you've seen the trailer, that's pretty much everything else that's in the film. The movie has nothing much else. So that's it. I'm going to continue. So this is your first time here. Welcome, 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 welcome. And without further ado, let's take a look. So this movie centers around this boy who is kind of the Clark Kent of the film. His name is Brendan Byers, and well, Brightburn is kind of like the Smallville of this Kansas. So this boy is definitely an alien. He comes down the same way Superman came in a pod onto Earth. But his reasoning and choices he makes are what turns him into a villain for this movie. So he starts off kind of as a very loving kid, and he stays that way for the most part of the film. The reason he turns evil was obviously we thought that it's going to be because of the turn of events that happens from both his school, a bad childhood, or something like that. But apparently, his childhood is absolutely fine. His school is fine. He's doing very well in class. He even has a girl who likes him. Everything is going great for him. But what happens is the alien spaceship from which he came apparently emits some kind of psionic message that turns him evil. So the ship kind of keeps forcing him to make these kind of strange chants. And that chance kind of turns him into, to do evil things. And you see a lot of Man of Steel-esque shots throughout this film. The music that I was playing is very similar to the Man of Steel's. They just kind of took out, I think, a note or two notes or something, and then made it sound very similar to Man of Steel. So this is very much a parody for me. And then you get these these sunrise shots that we used to see in the Man of Steel. A lot of things like how the parents will tell him that they believe he was sent here for a reason. He has to do good, blah blah. But the justification for him turning evil was unfortunately all about the alien ship. We will never really know whether he ever had the nature to be evil because it was just this spaceship that keeps forcing him to do it. We see him doing a lot of this kind of art in his book. His mother is an artist, but of course she's not his real mother, so she just noticed to some point what he's up to. So this symbol is basically just two bees, Brandon Byers. It's back to back bees, but then again, there's a cop that investigates on this later on, and he kind of straight up shows at the house, and he's like, I think the symbol belongs to your son because it's Brandon Byers. And whenever he kills people, yes, he kills people throughout this film, he actually leaves this symbol around, and the cops straight up just pick on him. I mean, to be honest, if you don't see his book or his name, um, Brandon Byers may not be the first guess because the place is called Brightburn, which is also two B's. But then again, the chain of events that leads up to the investigation is because he kills several people that he is kind of linked to. So I guess he becomes the prime suspect. And then a lot of the town apparently knows that there's something wrong with him. But no one really cares about it. It's very vague. like to which point people actually pay attention to what Brandon can do. Because obviously, if he's in school, if he gets beaten or bullied or thrown or something, he never gets hurt, which means he was strong since he was a little baby. Um, but most of that only gets revealed now. Like the father just tells in a very short scene that he never bleeds, he's never broken a bone. No one knows whether he can be harmed. So they establish that he is something else. And then you see this part, which was when he kind of is told to mow the lawn, and then he tries to like start the lawnmower, and then he ends up tossing it halfway across the field, and then he goes to like put his hand through this like the blade, and then the blade just breaks. And this was kind of a plot hole in the story, because after this no one ever mentions the lawnmower. Even his dad never comes after him to ask like, have you mowed the lawn, what happened to the lawnmower, where is the lawnmower, like this is your lawnmower, you should be looking for it. So they never really followed up on this, which was kind of strange, to say the least. And then most of the other scenes are just very simple jump scares that lead you up to even more jump scares, and the jump scares are kind of very expected. The music just drops right before the scare happens, so it's way too obvious that a jump scare is coming, which is like every other jump scare movie, to be honest. But the build up was the thing that really was not there, because end of the day, a lot of the jump scares are just them showing a kid standing here and there, and he's terrifying because of what he looks like and what he does. But the justification of like him being evil just because an alien device is like hypnotizing him was just weird, because it's like the parents never made any effort to get rid of the device, because every night his mom wakes up and see the device like glowing red, and the entire barn is glowing red. But they are fine leaving that like the alien spaceship in the barn, and it's so weird. In this scene you see one of like Brandon's classmates' mother get pursued by Brandon, because he wants to like she kind of he accidentally breaks, like not accidentally, he purposely breaks his classmate's hand because he's pissed at her, because he went to stalk her, and then the mother is the one that told her to stay away from him, so he comes to get rid of the mother, and he keeps doing this to other film. Whatever he doesn't like, he just gets rid of them. And you see a lot of these creepy shots of him standing. This was really cool. The creepy scenes of him hovering, standing, it is really like a horror film. And this one was the good part of the film, like the way they made the character look and feel. Because underneath all of that, he's a good looking kid. Like he looks fine, but when his eyes are glowing and all that, it's kind of creepy. The actor's performance is questionable. I mean, the kid kind of did what he could. Maybe he was told to be stoic throughout the film, but he lacks expression for the most part, because he's like told to be very alien, I suppose, which means he lacks the human emotion. And all of that upbringing of the parents seems to like just been undone by a very simple scene of where the spaceship just tells him to kind of take the earth, and then he realizes that he was sent here to rule over the earth. And the only actual scene that gave us like a hint of this manifestation was he'll be in class, and the teacher will ask him if he knows the difference between like a regular bee and a hornet. And then he gives this kind of story where there's a specific type of hornet. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but he tells a story where there's this like kind of hornet which lays its eggs in another bee's hive, and then that hornet kind of grows up to take over that beehive, so that the hornet can like take over another area without needing to do the work of raising the bee. So it turns out to be something like that kind of a story where he's sent to Earth, and he is like, Earth gladly raises him as a kid, and then he realizes his actual mission is to take over the Earth. So that was the only very like similar like linked idea that proves the chain of events that took place. But other than that, his drive, like his reasoning, was just kind of sad to see. Like I really wish that it was all about him changing heart from good to evil, because of like he gets pissed off from a chain of events. But it turns out that no, he's completely fine, and then the spaceship just tells him that, oh, you have to take over the Earth, and he's like, okay, I'll take over the Earth then, and that happens. And then you get to see him do these weird drawings where he wants to dress up like this, and I guess that's kind of his manifestation of being the ruler of this planet. And I mean, yeah, it's cool. The idea behind it was cool. The costume and everything was is very straightforward, yet very creepy. So I'll give them that. So yeah, that's pretty much it in the film. You don't get much else like very dramatic ideas. Oh yeah, and you get to see this very dumb scene where like I mean obviously the dad knows that he can't be hurt and all that. But towards the end, the dad like decides that he has to kill his son because his son is going to destroy everything. Because he kind of figures out that his son has been killed his brother, killed another woman. So his dad like takes him hunting and then straight up shoots him in the head with a snipe with like a hunting rifle, which does absolutely nothing. And then Brandon kills his dad. So those scenes are like really dumb and questionable. And then like his mother, who kind of plays out as a good, she's a good character in the film, and she kind of turns out to be the character who really cares for Brandon, and she doesn't care if he's from space or whatever, but she actually took a liking to him as her own son. And I thought she would like try to stay loyal with him or something to the end, but she was the only one who realizes that the thing that can hurt Brandon is the metal of the spaceship that he showed up in. So she tries to grab a piece of that metal and go after him, but before she could even stab him with it, he straight up just finds out that she's planning to do that and he kills her. So there was no real showdown. Like he was just too in control throughout the film. No one could oppose him. There wasn't a challenge to this. Honestly, it was just like a horror movie where you know that the villain is going to win from the start, and there's no fight back. There's no like you know chance of redemption. Nothing. There's absolutely nothing for you to think of. It's just this is a very flat horror film with just jump scares and a kid who looks like Superman trying to kill stuff. So the idea was nice, but the execution was very bad in this film, and that's pretty much what I have to say about it. So I'm just gonna like add a text over here to give you guys my rating. So let me just pump this up. So yeah, you can watch this film for kicks, but it's not much else. It's just a 2 out of 10 film for me. I would have given it a 3 if the actor at least, like did something cool. But there's nothing very memorable about this, like nothing new, nothing to learn. Like sometimes you get to see something interesting, like the character learning about his powers or something, but no, he just finds out he's strong, and then all of a sudden he can fly, he can use heat vision, he can hear, of course. He only thing he doesn't really have is X-ray vision, which thankfully he doesn't have because that would have made him a lot more terrifying. And also, he apparently has learned to kind of control the magnetic field around his body to create a interference to communication devices. So this is also a Superman ability actually, but we don't really get to see much of it because Superman's powers actually, they allow him to manifest a magnetic field around his body, which is what makes him invincible. So it's also what allows him to like control his strength and allow him to fly because the magnetic field is what allows him to like, you know, how can I put it, rebound against the gravity of the earth so that he can fly and propel himself. I don't want to get too much into the science of Superman, but yeah, the interference thing was a very nice ability that was very horror-esque. But the execution was really bad. So that's about it from me. You guys can skip this film. Just watch the trailer. That's pretty much all you need to know. You guys can brood over the idea of it because the idea is pretty good. But once again, this was that's about it. I gotta say. So yeah, that's it from me. Uh, just flip for you guys to this. Thanks for watching. Adios.